Hello, everybody. My name is Johnny Jennings. I'm a real estate agent around here, and we're so grateful for you that you came today. And so our intention is for you to walk away with something that will generate $100,000 or more a year in revenue to your business. So what's $100,000? You say, John, that's big. Like, that would be huge. That'd be life changer in my life. That'd be a game changer in my life. That's $8,000, a little over $8,000 a month. In our market, that's about one sale a month. So what you need to do, you got the papers in front of you, write down notes, take lots of notes. The panelists, they've achieved a lot of success in a short period of time, and some of them have sustained it for a long period of time. So take lots of notes. That will be your blueprint for success, and then implement one thing from the notes. Don't try to eat the elephant in one bite. You'll have the notes to refer to, you'll have that blueprint, and just implement one thing at a time. They're all super busy, very successful real estate agents, and they've carved out 2 hours to teach you the same techniques and tactics and strategies that have made them successful. So please welcome to the stage Asher, Emily, Val, and Barry. Give them a round of applause, everybody. Awesome. So the focus of today's panel, we have some questions we're going to go through, but we want to reserve plenty of time at the end for you to ask your questions, because we want to make sure that if you're struggling with something in your business, these people can help. Okay? So real quick, first question will be an intro question. What's your name? Where are you from? How long have you been in real estate? And just as a base level, how many transactions did you do your first year? So.
I'll go.
Yeah. Emily.
Hi. I'm Emily Valdez, and I am born and raised in Pollock Pines. Pollywood. And this is my 8th year in real estate. So I got my license in December of 2014. So I don't really count that year. It took me 6 months to have my first sale, and I sold 7 pieces of property. There were 4 mobile homes and 2 pieces of land.
Your first year.
My first year.
Awesome. All right, let's pass the mic to Val.
Hi, I'm Val Turner, originally from Newark, California, which is down by Fremont, and grew up actually in Fair Oaks, so moved up there in the 90s. My first year, oh gosh, I don't know that I know how many houses I sold my first year, but it wasn't many. I think I made $12,000 my first year, combination of property management commissions and maybe one house that I sold.
So you didn't come out the gate swinging.
Did not come out of the gate swinging. I started in property management. That was my background before, and so I served tenants and I served landlords, and I was lucky enough to make my big break when I sold one of my landlord's houses.
There you go. Awesome. What do you got, Asher?
Good morning, everybody. You guys can do better than that. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So my name is Asher Bell. In May, it'll be 4 years for me in real estate. And in my first year of real estate, I sold 13 transactions, and definitely want to contribute that to social media.
There you go. All right, Barry, how about you?
Awesome. I guess I'm the granddaddy on this platform. 23 years in real estate. A friend of mine got me started. I was working for Hewlett Packard. My first sale was a gentleman at Hewlett Packard that let me sell a house in Granite Bay, which was a big deal for a first sale. I did 16 homes that first year, and been doing real estate pretty much the whole time through.
Similar to Val, you also have done or do property management too, right?
Yeah, I had a property management company before, and I currently am launching a new one now.
There you go. All right, go ahead. You can hold the mic, Barry. In the current market, what is something that differentiates you from other agents? Like, why would somebody pick Barry?
You know, one of the other questions coming, I think, is an idea of percentages. About 80% of my clients are investors. So the reason my clients pick me is usually has something to do with investments. And I would say what makes me stand out is the ability to see the future for them. And so I can show them what it's going to look like down the road, and that sense of foreknowledge takes away a lot of the fear of moving forward. And I think that's what you have to do for your clients, is you have to give them enough confidence to where they remove their fear of inaction, because that's the default that they're all in, especially now when they're getting news bombarding them every day telling them not to invest in real estate.
Yeah, I can say that. I bought a lot of stuff because Barry's convinced me to buy stuff. So he is a good salesperson. Asher, what's a differentiator for you?
I just am very authentic, and I focus on my online presence because that's the world that we live in today. That's where everybody is. Almost for more than half of their days, they're online, they're on their phones. And I tend to just try to be myself. When I started, I thought I had to be like this person or that person, and I started doing that, and I was getting no engagement. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to the basics, and I'm gonna be myself and focus on service. I mean, and it could sound very cliche to say, yeah, just focus on service, right? But literally seeking to serve. I've given up commissions. I've sold houses for free. I spent lots of time with people just out of the kindness of my heart. And we know that doesn't always equal to a paycheck, but at the end of the day, it's a heart to serve. And that's what truly makes me different, because when you work with me, you'll realize that I'm there for the client and I'm there to serve.
And they hear it from your clients. It's not just you telling them, they probably hear it from other people.
Absolutely.
Definitely. How about you, Val?
I often ask myself this question. What I've been told is that I have got the largest network of PFTs. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's people for that. I have got a person for absolutely every need that somebody doesn't even know that they have, and I'm able to provide it and present it before the client knows that they need it.
How did you develop that network?
I talk a lot.
You go meet a lot of people.
You just meet people. Honestly, as Gail always told me, it's a contact sport. She tells our whole team that it's a contact sport. So you have to get out and you have to meet people. And so if I'm in Starbucks or I'm in a restaurant, and there's somebody that's talking about anything behind me, they could be a mechanic, they could be a window washer. I met a glass replacement guy when I was getting one of my tickets signed off at the Folsom Police Department.
So you network even at the police department?
Got to keep life interesting, but I just keep a really good, really strong network, and I make sure that I always am able to provide that for my clients.
That's strong. That's powerful. How about you?
So I think part of it is energy. And I, like Val, have been told that people often want to work with me because I have energy and I'm enthusiastic. So that does something to people. I think it, gives them energy.
It's infectious.
It is infectious, yeah. And I think another thing is to be honest with people. It's not about the sale. And I have very often been so much more successful, whether it be years down the line with somebody, that I just said, maybe you shouldn't sell your house. You own it free and clear. Why not keep it and rent it? And no other realtor is telling them that. They're like, oh yeah, sell. So I think saying things like that and really putting your clients' interests first, it may not result in an immediate profit, but it will come back to you tenfold in future.
Exactly kind of what Asher was saying as well. Let me ask you this, though, in terms of being honest, sometimes it's hard to have hard conversations like, your home's not really worth $1 million. On a good day, maybe 750, maybe. How do you handle those conversations?
It's hard, and I've definitely lost listings because I don't want a listing that's going to sit on the market. I don't want my sign to sit out there for 6 months. That's kind of embarrassing.
Embarrassing, and it leaves a bad taste of you in that client's mouth. Yeah.
So you have to be willing to know your value, know that you are the expert. That's why you're there. You're the expert. You're the advisor. Mm-hmm. And you know the market better than anybody else, any other realtor. So you stick with your gut, and if you feel like it's going to be a waste, it probably will.
That's something Brent teaches. Has said that for decades. Don't waste your time. How about this? Where does most of your business come from? Do you have like one lead generation pillar that you consistently rely on?
So I used to. Well, let me just answer your question. 60% of my business is actually from personal relationships.
Okay.
That's my sphere. Those are friends, family, people I know, people I organically and inorganically meet. So that's 60%.
Maybe not in jail like Val.
Business,
but.
yes. And same, I wear my badge everywhere, and my license plate says Agent Valdez, and people are always like, oh, are you a secret agent? And it's just a great conversation starter. And so just talking to people, so that's 60% of my business, but it wasn't that until about 3 years ago. I did used to invest in online leads, which in whole, I actually tallied up all my sales in 8 years. My online leads, Zillow, if I can say it, is only accounting for 15% of my entire business.
Really?
So what a huge waste of money. I mean, I spent a fortune on online leads because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Until in recent years, I've really been focusing on just my spheres of influence. But I basically built my business, so 30% of my business is based off open houses.
Okay.
So that's how I started my business, and it continues to be one of the most profitable things to do. And it's free, basically.
Exactly. No, they say that Sphere is like the most profitable way to grow a business, and it has an inherent moat because nobody can necessarily steal your family, friends, or close relatives away from you, right? So, yeah. Well, unless you're Barry. How about you, Val? Where does most of your business come from today? And if you could do the same thing that Emily did and give like the transition, was it always the same thing, or did it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was not always the same. So 95% of my business originally came from Sphere. I started very aggressive when I decided I didn't want to be in property management anymore because it was a soul-sucking career. And so
No offense, Barry.
how I started was I printed 31 copies of my American Lifestyle magazine. So anybody who's not using Reminder Media, write that down, remindermedia.com. They have 3 choices. They have Good to Be Home, they have a lifestyle magazine, and then they have the American Lifestyle. So I printed 32 copies of this magazine. I wrapped them with a bottle of champagne, and I gave one to everybody in my daughter's kindergarten class. I got 5 sales from that. So that was my start. Then I was like, this magazine's actually kind of cool. So I mailed it. And I mailed it out to my sphere, which was very, very small at the moment. It was maybe 36 people in my sphere. New, young realtor, young mom, just trying to figure it out. And I got 5 sales from that. So I very instantly launched my career from Sphere. But then once I have helped everybody in my sphere buy or sell, it tends to run out or get a little dry. So I learned how to hold open houses, very productive open houses. And then I would say I was about 50% sphere, 50% open houses. And now I can say 100% by referral, but not just sphere of influence. We're referred by people who we've served all over the community. My neighbor used you. We went on a listing appointment yesterday that was my neighbor's friend referred you. So it's still a referral for us, but it came through a multitude of channels.
You had to build that book of business up. Got it. How about you, Asher?
So 80% of my business comes from social media, which I could say online sales, and 10% from networking and 10% from referral at this point. And I just want to say that the first thing that I noticed was how much time I was spending on social media and what was I doing, what was my behavior on social media. I was, looking at things I was interested in. And I quickly came to find out that being in this profession, when people are looking for something, the first place they go is online. Well, they're going to go on Google and go to the search engines and go to YouTube. But if you're networking, right, I'm very active in my church. We do a lot of community events. And the number one thing that I do upon meeting someone is establishing that connection, building rapport, but connecting with them on social media. I have business cards, and you give business cards out, but business cards usually get lost in the car, lost in the house, lost in the drawer. The number one thing that you can subconsciously stay on someone's mind with is with their social media, connecting with them on Instagram or Facebook, because they're going to see you, and if you're intentively and intentionally posting consistently, they're going to see you almost daily, and then they can't get away from you. And the best part about it is it's free. Mm-hmm. So that's where my business comes from.
Can you go a little bit deeper on that real quick, though, Asher? Because we've all been taught, or most of us have been taught, open houses, sphere, that type of thing. And we hear about social, but I don't know personally a lot of agents winning with social and generating like business. So what would, like Val gave us the example of the magazine. Mm-hmm. What would be an example of something that the audience could implement on social today?
Well, not just posting about real estate. I have about 12 agents in my organization now that I'm building. And what I teach is don't make a second page that's just about real estate. I don't personally believe in that. Honestly, I think it's kind of boring. If you think like a consumer, you think like somebody who's scrolling online, they're interested in real estate, but they're also interested in you because you're selling yourself. You are the product, you are the service, and people are looking for someone they can relate to, someone they can connect with. And once they feel like they know you, they begin to like you. And then that transitions into building trust. And you can do all of this by posting more about your family, posting more about your social life, posting more about recreationally what you like to do. And people start to relate to that, and that's where the connection starts. So I can connect before I've ever even met somebody, and then when I meet them, they feel like they know me already. And this is how people can choose me before I've ever even seen them in person.
And that goes back to what you mentioned earlier about being authentic.
Yes.
Because if they see something on social and they meet you in person and it's not the same, it'd be like, I don't trust this.
There's
right?
a disconnect.
There's a disconnect. Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Barry?
What was the question?
Where do you generate most of your business?
You know, I mentioned it earlier. My business is a lot of investors. I launched a property management company out in October, and obviously that's investors as well. But you know, the investors come from other sources, and I think that's where we get confused a lot. You look at up here on the platform and you say, well, I don't have that way of generating sphere of influence, but you probably do, and you're not using it. When I have agents that I've trained, I just recently graduated a bunch of agents through training, and they don't look at their phones. They think that's different. They think, well, those are just family, those are just friends. But my investors, some of them started as family. My investors, some of them I met at open houses. My investors came from all these different sources. As a matter of fact, over the years, now that I've been in it 20 years, it's kind of hard to go back, because my clients I've done 10, 15, 20 deals with, it's hard to go back and see where did they originally start, right? And so I think that's the mistake we make, is we don't realize that these guys are going to transition through a lot of different phases. And all you can need to do is create that sphere of influence. And how do you create it? You know, you said the right thing. It's that get them to relate to you, get them to like you. And familiarity breeds that. I was reading this morning, and I'm not a philosopher. I barely graduated high school. I didn't even graduate high school. But Plato, actually, I was reading this morning and talked about Plato talking about the fox first time he met a lion. The first fox that met a lion was terrified. And then he met him again. And then he met him again. And by the third time, he was asking him questions. And so obviously that was a play on Plato, but it's that same principle. As they see you over and over again, that's the power of social, is they're seeing you, they're seeing you, they're seeing you. Yesterday in my social media, I did a plate of wings at a new wing place out in Cameron Park. Well, people that know me are not surprised that I'm eating wings. You know, that's Barry, he's eating wings, you know. And so whatever it is that you do, you think it's trivial, but you're letting people get to know you.
Awesome. Hey, you can hold the mic, Barry. So the next question for the panel is, what was your biggest and let's have some fun with this. What was your biggest misconception about what it would take to be a real estate agent, and what was your biggest mistake early on? So this is a two-parter.
Yeah, well, both of mine generated in the same spot. If you know my history, you know that I was brought into real estate under somebody that you all know. And he was probably, I'm a good salesman. He is a great salesman. He may be the greatest salesman that I've ever met.
He's also the reason why we're all here today. So put your hands together for Brent Gove.
So Brent sold me. He says, hey, get your license, just do it part-time on the side and see how it works out for you. And so Brent sold me, and then I learned from Brent how to sell. Unfortunately, though, I am not Brent. And by the way, neither are you, most likely. There might be one or two budding Brents in here, but not very many. So you cannot do sometimes what even your mentor does, because you're not them, and it's not going to come off authentic. And you're not going to have the same kind of results. And so Brent sells by personality. Everyone that ever met him probably loves him except for one or two people, and he's really upset about those two people. We've had conversations about it. Me, everyone that I'm not upset, let's just say I'm not upset about the two people, and there's probably more than two people. And so we have different personalities, completely different. So for me to try to implement the same things that he did, which I did for many years. My wife sometimes jokes with me about me trying to be mini Brent, you know. And so I did that for many, many years as I learned real estate. But you're not your mentor. You're going to have your own personality. Now, there are probably a ton of things that you should take away from your mentor, as I did, right? But you're not going to do all of those. So the thing that I shouldn't have done is that I shouldn't have tried to copy him. And the other thing is Brent sells by personality. For many years, he didn't even know what a database was, right? And so early in my career, I really didn't do a lot with database. I did no sphere of influence marketing. We were eat to kill. You know, we went out each weekend, met what we were going to kill that weekend, and brought it home and ate it.
And ate wings. You had wings.
And had wings, yeah. But we did not farm. We never talked to our sphere of influence. I'd have people coming up at church and say, hey, you know, thanks for selling me the house. We're getting ready to resell. And I'm like, who are you? You know, and I wouldn't even know who they were. Just this last week, I had somebody from 10 years ago that called me. I have not talked to this person in 10 years, and they just called me to come double in their house. So, but I just didn't do follow-up. And so that was one of the mistakes I made, is trying to copy Brent, and then my style, I copied that. He's very successful without doing those things, and so I felt I didn't need to do them, but that was a mistake.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. Definitely not alone. How about you, Asher?
So, biggest mistake?
Misconception. Like, you thought getting into real estate would be selling Sunset, or like what did you think? What got you into real estate? Let's do that one.
So I've been in sales for the past 12 years. So I've done inside sales, I've done outside sales, and spent a lot of time in B2B sales specifically. So when I bought my first house in 2018, as a salesperson, you're inquisitive. So I asked the real estate agent who I met from my social media, because I saw that he did real estate online, because that was how I found him. I was like, hey, Jeff does real estate. He's online. Let me reach out to him, because he was posting. So as we were going through the process of buying my first house, I simply asked him, I said, how much you going to make on a commission from a sale like this? It was a $425,000 house, nothing crazy. But he was like, yo, maybe about 12 grand. And he said it so nonchalantly, it bothered me. Mm-hmm. I said, excuse me. I was like, 12 grand? I started to stutter. I was like, I have to work extremely hard to make 12 grand in the sales industry that I was in. And the next question was, how do I get my license? He sent me the link to get my coursework done, and I bought my books that night.
Wow.
And 8 weeks later, I was done with all my coursework and went in and failed my test. But anyways,
how many times did it take you to pass?
It took me two
Okay.
times.
Okay.
So I did go back in and pass about 2 months later.
Yeah.
Now I'm here.
You're a grad.
It worked out. But the biggest misconception was I thought that I had to be my mentor. I thought that I had to do things the way they did. And they were the exact opposite personality-wise of who I am. They were not personality. They weren't based on personality. They were based on farming, traditional farming, mailers, gifts, and things of that nature. And at the time, starting in real estate, I was making a good amount of money, but not enough to sustain and establish a farm the way that they were. Mm-hmm. So I thought that I had to spend money coming into the business as a brand new agent. So I was spending more than I should have, and spending more time in areas that really wasn't as progressive as what I transitioned into with social media. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get to that point until I started to look at the results, and I said, you know what, this is probably going to take me a lot longer than I want to wait. And if I'm in control of my activity, what else can I do? And I actually enjoy doing social media. I know that most people might not be as passionate as others are about social media.
I hate it, man.
It's a new tool. It's a new tool, right? I mean, anything new is going to be frustrating because you don't know how to use it, right? But when you know the benefits of it, and then you become acclimated to it, and you acquire the skill of how to use that tool, and that tool begins to work in your favor. Now you love the tool. Well, you should love the tool if it's going to benefit you. But that's the biggest misconception, was trying to do things exactly the way other people did them and not finding the way that worked for me.
I also like what you said about, and you said it too, Emily, about spending money out the gate, right? Both you mentioned spending money out the gate, and that didn't make you successful. You actually pivoted away from it when you became more successful. So I find that very interesting. Thank you, Asher. How about you, Val?
Anybody in here heard of purple bricks?
Nope.
Okay. So true story. 2012 rolled around. I found myself very quickly as a single mom of a 4-week-old and a 3-year-old. And I was like, this real estate thing, I can do this part-time, I can make great money, I can have all this freedom, and I can be a stay-at-home mom with my kids. That was my biggest misconception in real estate. So
Yep.
farther from the truth. No joke, I ended up signing up with a little boutique brokerage in Cameron Park. Was my first break in real estate. And I remember bringing my 4-week-old when he was, 3 months old at that point in time. And we would set him on the conference table, and he would crawl around during the meetings, and I would have both my kids in the back seat while I'm showing property for him. And it sounded great, but by far my biggest misconception was that being a realtor would be easy, and it would be cheap, and it would be something I could totally do with full flexibility as a stay-at-home mom.
How long did it take for you to realize that was not the case?
Like 30 days. At most, yes. My biggest mistake was not implementing systems from the get-go. Running with freedom, right? Being an undisciplined entrepreneur with a thriving business, as I'd mentioned. I kind of came out my first year not knowing too much, but by year 2, I had sold 24 homes. And by year 3, I had sold 40. And so I had quickly realized succession, but I did not implement systems for years. In fact, Allison James at one point told me, like, if you don't hire a TC, you're fired. And I didn't know you could get fired as a real estate agent, but you can. So that was my biggest mistake, was not putting the right systems into place very, very early on and treating my business like a business from day one.
How much time and or money do you think that cost you by waiting to implement the systems?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So if you
For
don't
sure.
have systems, there's your 100K, right? Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Emily, what about you?
I don't want to go after Val.
I know, she's so good.
So, can I say how I got into real estate?
Yeah,
Or what
please,
made me want to be a realtor? When my husband and I bought our first home in 2005, for, by the way, 7% interest, we thought we were getting a screaming deal.
Oh, gosh.
We were like, yes, we got 7. The house.
You can still get 7.
Yeah,
You know?
I know, right? You could. So, like 3 months after we bought this house, it literally started flooding, like from the floors up. And we were like, oh my goodness, it was like the money pit. And so I called our realtor, and she was the sweetest thing in the world, and I just loved her. And she goes, well, let's look at the disclosures. And she let us sign like half filled out seller disclosures. And when it came to the plumbing section, it was totally blank.
Whoa.
And I was like, I would never do this to someone. Like we didn't know what we were doing. We were so excited. We didn't read, like nobody reads.
You thought she was protecting you.
And I just kind of had this confidence in her. Yeah. And, she'd been in the industry like 60 years, and she was a sweet old thing. And I mean, we had lunches together, and then the lunches kind of stopped after that because I was just so upset. But I had always had a fascination for real estate, and I had said if I ever, get my license, and well, at the time we were living in Missouri, so came home, and that's when I decided, I wanted to get into real estate. And actually, the truth is, same with Val, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I got my license when I had a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old, and same thing, toted them around everywhere, and clients would be like, oh, you have your kids? Like, oh, I'm like, oh, why is your car running? Oh, I've got the kids.
I cracked the windows. They're okay.
Like, they were always kind of like, eh. So it kind of ties in with Val. I really didn't take the opportunity serious. I really didn't see it as a business. I kind of saw it as a way to get out of the house And I really thought it was going to be like a part-time gig. And my goal was to sell 5 properties a year.
What changed? Because obviously
well,
something changed.
So I sold 7 or 8 my first year. My second year, I sold 18.
Wow.
And actually, 12 of those sales came from one open house that I held open for my broker at the time. Wonderful broker, Laura Lee Green with Z Group Real Estate. It's a small boutique brokerage up in Pollock Pines. And I was there for my first 5 years. And she let me host an open house. And I'm still selling houses to people that came from that open house, because they're friends and family and such. Anyways, I got way off track. But so I'm really big on disclosures and going over them with clients, doing my part. Biggest mistake, thinking I could be part-time. I think it's kind of a disservice. And I don't mean to be rude to anybody here that has another career or, I love my family and they are my absolute priority. And sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm questioning myself. Like, am I being a good mom? But am I serving my clients? Like, am I really a full-time realtor? And the answer is yes, I am a full-time realtor. But I really thought I could just sell a few and be done. But I can't say no to people ever. So
that's why you're successful.
It's a little addicting too, like the thrill.
Yep, helping people.
I still get excited when you're writing an offer. You're like, I'm writing an offer. It's so exciting. It's even more exciting when it gets accepted.
And when they read the disclosures and everything works out.
Yes.
So Brent has a phrase that, sometimes you hear those sayings and it just is like pivotal. Like you're like, whoa, my life just like shifted a little bit. He has a phrase that did that to me. And he said, real estate is a really hard business if you go at it easy. It's a really easy business if you go at it hard. So if you're struggling, right, maybe it's because you're not being consistent. Maybe it's because you're not doing the activities and you're not committed to the industry. Just food for thought. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. I actually just heard a really awesome quote. I think it was yesterday, that success is not for the chosen few. Success is for the few that choose.
100%.
Yeah, that really resonated
and
with me.
it comes with its share of sacrifices, like family, right? You two ladies can definitely, let's do that. This isn't on the list, so you mind if I do an audible real quick? What have you had to sacrifice? Quick, pass it. What have you had to sacrifice in order to have the success you have today?
Okay, so this is a tough one. So I've had several evenings where I have 2 boys, they're 8 and 9 right now. They will literally close my laptop in front of me and be like, Mom, and it kind of breaks my heart.
Yep.
It totally breaks my heart. So what I have done, which is a big regret that I didn't mention earlier, is now I have systems in place to maximize the most out of my day, like say when they're at school. But I've really prioritized family time because it is a sacrifice. And I have a very supportive husband who helps me. I built my business on the weekends, and he allowed me to do that. And, I know that's not an option for a lot of people. So I'm very fortunate with my situation, but it is a sacrifice. It can be a sacrifice to the family. I just started turning my phone off at like 8 p.m., but I used to take calls, 24/7. So it can be a sacrifice. It can be a sacrifice on friendships too. My friends are always like, quit answering your phone. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, let's just be friends. Yeah. No, so thank you for sharing, because that's she's being vulnerable right now. Can we all agree that this is something that we all struggle with, right? So you're not alone. Yeah, good job. Thank you.
I would 100% agree with Emily. Our families take a huge sacrifice. Even when I was on the soccer field, or I was at the swim meet, or I was at the football game, or at wherever, I was not 100% present. It was impossible. I've gotten way better at this. In fact, I don't even really work weekends at all anymore. And we'll talk about why. I think you have another question in there that I'll attribute to that too. But aside from family health, I'll be honest, I sacrificed health big time. Taking a baby business and running it up to a multi-million-dollar business in 4 years. I gained weight, my hair thinned. I remember being in the hospital twice for an EKG from anxiety and heart palpitations. Just in general, I totally sacrificed sleep. I sacrificed my CrossFit. I used to be in such great shape as a CrossFit person. That's gone. Don't have time. Don't make the time, I should say. But for sure, being real with you guys, family and health.
Thank you. Yeah, give a round of applause, because this isn't easy. They also didn't sign up for this. I just called an audible.
I think that's what we all struggle with is family and social time, and me time. Mm-hmm. I'm still fit, but I was much more fit prior to real estate because I spent a lot of time in the gym.
I wish I was as fit as you were fat, man. Come on.
I don't know that he could be more. I don't know that he could be more fit. So.
Well, I was. Okay. I definitely was.
Take your word for it.
Yes.
I'll check it out on your Instagram.
It's kind of what I do.
There you go.
But yeah, family, and social time was definitely a sacrifice because when you have to work, you have to work. Mm-hmm. And especially if you want to serve at the highest level, you go above and beyond. You answer your phone. And I would answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night at the dinner table and things of that nature. And it can become a wedge, in your marriage and, within your family. And I'm a victim of that. But, now at this point in time, I do my best to be cognizant of the fact that, hey, this is family time. Mm-hmm. And I'll just send a text message and say, hey, I'm with my family. We're shutting the house down. We're getting ready to go to sleep. Can I get back to you in the morning? And I've never had a client say, absolutely not. So,
and if they were, they'd be like, all right, dude, find
right.
somebody else.
That's not the client. Not all business is good business.
100%. Thank you. What about you, Barry?
I'll kind of come into it backwards because I definitely agree with that. If you have to worry about firing a client, you probably don't have enough clients. That's usually the problem. If you're putting up with stuff from a client, it's probably because you don't have enough clients. So let me go backwards to that. Mine is a little different case with the family. Obviously, a male, not quite as maternal as some of the women on the panel. I was blessed to have a wife that was able to stay home and take care of the kids. But with me, I was coming from the Navy. I'd been 10 years in the Navy. And so we would go out to sea for 6 months. And so the time I am here was actually a lot more time than she had before. So we didn't really feel that stretch there. Now, just occasionally she would ask, when are you going back to sea? But other than that.
Is she still asking?
Yeah, she still asks that sometimes. Could you just leave for a while? Don't you have a conference to go to or something?
Awesome. And so in the same vein, what does a perfect week look like? Because for me personally, I don't believe in balance. I don't think it exists. But I do think life has rhythms. And sometimes those rhythms are fast, sometimes they're slower. So what's a good rhythm? What's a good week look like in your world?
Yeah, that one's a tough one for me. I never know how to answer it. I can tell you that I like finding deals for my clients and then pitching that deal to the clients to see which one is going to be the good fit for it. Not all investors matter of fact, no investor is built alike. And so finding a deal, pitching the deal, getting buy-in on the deal, I love those kind of things. And that hunt for that perfect opportunity for my clients. That's a good week for me, is going through that process with them and connecting a new one in. And my deals tend to run faster. So we might be done in a week. We might go all the way through the whole process in a week, 10 days, wow. Something like that. So
to be more specific, when do you typically start your day? When do you end your day?
Oh, I'm an early person. So I'll start my day. That might be left over from the Navy, but I'll start my day, at 5:30 or 6. And I don't really, in the property management world, I don't really have to get into the office. That's my time in the morning. I'm either on a spreadsheet looking for properties or I am starting to go to the gym, so we'll see. Maybe I'll catch up with you.
Tennis?
So I'm having to carve that time out for me because it's my favorite time early in the morning. Beautiful. And evenings, 8 o'clock, I'm done. There's no more work out of Barry at 8. So
cool.
The perfect week. Well, being able to kind of take care of my clients, have my appointments, being able to get into the gym, but also having my specific 2 days that I give myself to specifically spend time with my sons and my wife.
Do you do those back to back, or are those like one day here, one day there?
So it can change depending on the week, but as long as I'm making sure that they get time, my clients get time, and I get time, that's a great week for me, because there are weeks where something suffers. And one isn't getting enough time. So that's what the perfect week would look like for me. Doesn't always happen, but that's the goal.
Okay, so let's get a little bit more specific. When you wake up, like, how do you lead generate? When do you try to service clients? Things like that.
So servicing clients is kind of on an as needs basis. Most clients that I have are at work. So they're getting off of work sometimes at 3, 4, and 5. So it's evening times where I'll be out showing homes. With listings, I mean, we mostly delegate the things that we need to do for listings, such as pictures or staging. You might have an appointment. Those might be during the day. Most of the time in the morning, I'm taking my son to school. I'm helping my wife with the baby, getting everybody to eat breakfast and things of that nature. So I'm home mostly in the mornings, which is the beautiful part about real estate, is I can actually be home. I can, assist my wife, because it's a tough job. I told my wife, I said, I can never do your job. I don't even know if I'd want to.
Yeah, my wife does both, so I don't know how she does it. When you are off those 2 days, who handles incoming calls, texts, emails? What's that look like?
So I am fortunate to have not just a TC, but an amazing assistant. And what I do is I delegate most things we do through text. So I'll put every client in a group text with my TC/assistant, because she does far more than what a TC would do. And she literally is like on it. Anytime a client asks a question about a property, wants to schedule a showing, wants to know more information about a property, needs to look at disclosures, anything paperwork related, my client can get that answer right away without me even having to chime in. Literally, I can oversee it, look at my text message, and know that it's being handled. And if it's not, that's when I'll chime in. But also utilizing text as my preferred method of communication.
So I know we're going deep on this, but how did you find that person?
Wow, social media.
There you go. All roads lead to social media.
Social media, literally. She was advantageous, and she reached out to me and said, hey, I would love to earn your business. And she sent me a resume, and I thought that was pretty cool, because I had never seen a resume from a TC before. Graduated and, had some accolades there. And I said, I'll keep it on file just in case I need it one day. At the previous brokerage I was at, you had to use the TC or you were penalized $200. So you would have to pay your TC fee plus $200 to the brokerage in order to use an outside TC, which is how they kind of kept you under control. So I never had to use or look for a TC. But, as I'm continuing to build my brand online, it's going to attract all the lenders, all the title reps, and, the home warranty people, and, all the people that look to real estate agents for partnerships. And that's how I found her. She reached out to me, kept her on file, called her up, and literally I just, I struck gold.
100% sounds like you did, man. All right, Val, what about you? What's a good rhythm for you?
1 listed, 1 pended, and 2 sold every week. That's what I strive for. Also, when my team is winning. If my team is not winning and my team is struggling to get deals or close deals, that's a stressful week for us. So I love to have a week where my team is on fire, and there's energy, because like Emily was saying, energy feeds energy. And so when we're all winning together, we're all motivated together, we're all bound to have a better week. Happy kids, absolutely. If my kids are happy, I'm way happier. I'm way more successful when my children are happy. Rhythm. I will not lie. I roll with the punches. No 2 days are alike for me. I'd love to say I was the person that's in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. Never have been, never will be. I'm running kids around. I chauffeur, and I have a teenager and a toddler. So I chauffeur in the morning, I chauffeur in the afternoon. I'm an ATM, and I'm an Uber driver. I fit real estate in the middle of that, the best that I know how. So I don't really have a rhythm or a routine that is perfect for me. Just everybody being happy and in queue with each other really makes my week better.
How do you get those? What do you do to generate those listings, pendings, and solds?
I talk to a lot of people. So I answer my phone. Number 1, if you're a realtor, answer your phone. My kids don't always love it. They know. My daughter's almost 15. She'll sit in the seat, and I'll ask her permission if I'm driving around with her. I'll say, do you mind if I get that? And she's like, go ahead. And I'll do it with them on speaker. I mean, I actually let my 11-year-old son answer a call for me yesterday. I was like, do you want to get this one? He was like, yeah.
Well,
And it was
fun.
a buyer. And she got the biggest laugh out of my 11-year-old son answering the phone. So I incorporate my kids into my day so that it doesn't feel like my kids are the burden to the business. And when you can get away from your family life or your busyness or things like that, getting in the way of your business, you'll look at your business differently. You'll appreciate your business. Your children will appreciate your business. Your spouse will appreciate your business. I don't know if that quite answers what you asked.
100%. I can't wait to have Jack answer the phone. I don't know if it'll work. He's 16 months old, but we'll give it a shot.
Your clients will appreciate it.
Yeah. So, how about you, Emily?
What was the question?
What's a good week look like for you in
A
real
good
estate?
week would be
Perfect week. Yeah.
Gosh, Sundays with my family, and 3 to 5 listing presentations a week.
Wow. How are you getting those?
Listings are coming from, I'm kind of old-fashioned, but mailers really work in our area. So I think I'm going to touch on a company later you're going to ask me about. The Gold Panner. That's what I start my fires with. Do you read the Gold Panner? But yes, it's same. Man, I just really resonate with this lady right here because some days are easier than others, but I take a lot of pride that I drop my kids off and I pick them up from school every day, except this morning. Thanks, Mom. My mom is here. She's my #1 fan.
We say, hi, Mom. She's in the purple. Hi, Mom.
She's the best. But I mean, I answer my phone 24/7 pretty much, except after 9. I just started doing that. But anybody that calls after 9, they're drunk or
Val said weird.
Or
Yeah.
weird or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I stop.
Or it's bad news, and you're like, I can wait. I can wait.
It's never good. It's never good news, and it's never anything that can't be handled at appropriate business hours.
Yep.
In the morning. But yeah. So I think same happy kids, happy husband, happy life, and yeah. Every day is it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
But I just started actually implementing systems that Gail and Val have been teaching us about. And one of my biggest regrets is actually not doing this years ago, because when you have systems and you put listings in and you have a system and you have buyers and you set the expectation from the beginning of how the transaction is going to move forward, along with having an amazing assistant or TC, people don't really call that much. I mean, they really don't. So I'm kind of amazed at how little my phone does ring with big time problems that need immediate
That
attention.
only you can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing you can't handle quickly over a text or easy phone call.
Beautiful. And then, so we'll move on to the next question. If you were to start over, because it sounds like we all made some mistakes that we wish we hadn't made in the beginning, including systems. If you were to start over, what would you do to get up and running fast?
That's a hard question for me. I don't have a lot of regrets.
That's good.
I feel like
I wish I had 0 regrets.
not 0 regrets. I think I just would have had confidence in myself. I really, I don't know. I feel like I didn't have the confidence in myself. I feel like I relied on my brokerage and not on myself. And now I feel like if you believe in yourself and your own brand, I mean, you can really work and be successful in any brokerage if you believe in yourself. And I kind of let that go, and I built another brokerage for more than half of my career. And it really didn't do anything for me until I learned the importance of self-branding. And it took off about 3 years ago.
That sounds similar to what you were saying towards the beginning of the panel, where your energy, that's a differentiator, right? So once you establish that confidence and you knew you could help the clients and you wouldn't mess up on the disclosures, then all of a sudden real estate got a little bit easier.
It got more enjoyable.
Enjoyable, that's good.
And I actually didn't realize how much I enjoy helping others. And I get more joy from helping other people. And I love, working with people with the contracts or just questions. Or it's such an honor to have like a really successful agent call you and be like, hey, what would you do? Or how would you word this? Like, such an honor to have those kind of questions come in. And I think that, it just becomes more enjoyable, less stressful.
So the takeaway for the audience would be get trained and be confident in what you've been trained on.
Yes, learn the contract, please.
Learn the contract, yes. And follow the listing instructions.
So I think I probably would have been more assertive. And what I mean by that is, I got into the business young. I think I was 20, 21-ish, 19 when I first got in anyways. I think I felt like you had to be more realtor-y to be a realtor, and I wasn't realtor-y. And so I didn't assert myself, and I've always been confident, so confidence was never the issue, but I didn't do anything with it. And so, I'd host an open house, but I would never ask for the close. Or I would meet somebody, they would actually give me their information, and I would do nothing with it. Or I would say like, hey, thanks, it was really nice to meet you, call me if you need anything, okay? I just didn't do anything with it. And so I would definitely say I would have been far more assertive. I would have asked for what I wanted. I would have asked people straight up, can I represent you? I know that I can do an amazing job. I know I can serve you better than any other agent in this town or in my industry can serve you. Can we work together? I've not had anybody tell me no when I ask them that question. So I think earlier on, had I done that, I probably would have made a lot more money.
How did you shift from like not asking that question to asking the question?
I stopped giving a damn.
There you go. That's fair. Yeah. Simple. Take that to the bank. How about you, Asher?
So I would have focused more on personal branding than anything in the beginning. I was, doing what I was told and doing what I was told that worked for a specific person and a personality type. And I kind of veered off, and I wish I would have just focused on branding more. Number one, and number two would be more networking. Because what happens when you have an established online presence, when you're networking and you send people to connect with you online, which is what we do nowadays, you can still send them to your website. Websites still work. But now your social media platforms are your website, for me at least. And once I've established that brand online, when someone goes there, they now have proof of concept. When they see me and they have a great first impression, which is what I try to establish, in building rapport, is when they go to my social media, it only affirms what they saw in me within that first interaction. So it would be a two-step process. I would go back, and that's what I teach, is build your online presence and network, because the more people that you know, the more opportunities you can create, and the better your online presence, the more credibility you can establish sooner than later.
Absolutely. Credibility in mass.
Yeah, it's real similar, I think, to what everybody else has said. But there's two things that I would do. I just purchased an investment property. I think we closed yesterday on it. And in that process, Krista Proctor, I don't know if anybody knows her, but Krista was the agent representing the other side that I purchased from. She sent me out a series of emails throughout the process that were simple stuff, but told me every step of the way what was coming next. And here I am, an experienced real estate agent. Half the things that I get asked as questions were in those emails. How long did it take her to set that up? Maybe a couple hours the first time, and then her team implements it down the road. That's a system. That is something that I should have been doing years ago. And I need to continue to do that. I do some of that type of stuff, but she did it so well. If I was dropped in a city, I think Grant Cardone says this. If you drop me into any city, what's he say? You're a Grant Cardone guy. I'll be a millionaire in 5 months or something like that.
No, he'll do it faster than that.
Yeah.
But 30 days. Yeah. What would he do?
So if I was dropped into a city, I had no relation to that city before, and I'm licensed. So I would immediately start to build my 100. Right? You've got to build that's your sphere of influence. We're not talking about thousands. We're talking about 100 people. How do you do that? Well, you all could start it tonight, tomorrow. You could do it. You go do an open house, there's 5 people. You go find 5 CPAs, there's 5 people. You go find 5 attorneys that work with divorces. You go find, 5. Just get an idea in your head of someone that might possibly be able to refer some business to you. 5 contractors, 5 people at your church, 5 people here. If you just get that and build your 100, then you start incorporating all these other things. Start stalking them. Start finding them on social media. Start sending them stuff. Find out what they need. Build the network. Give them a painter if they need it. You're going to start learning about those people and just market to those people. Sales and marketing. You've got to have both, and that's what will do that. Just don't start too big because you'll bankrupt yourself. Start small. You can do it for free.
Absolutely. And so since nobody on the panel mentioned it, something that we've seen a lot of success with in our agents, and I've heard you mention it, is having a sphere, like having a database. Like, we all have phones. I have an Apple phone, so if you open the Apple phone, look at the contacts tab, scroll down to the bottom, it'll tell you how many people are in your phone, right? You have a database all right there. You just have to start using that database effectively. And if you have 150 people in your phone, you have a couple $1 million in sales. So if I was dropped in a city, I would just start calling people on my phone and seeing who they know that's in the city I'm in. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's an interesting question. What are some of the essential elements you look for in choosing a brokerage or team?
I think the brokerage has to be in a habit of saying yes more than they say no. I don't want a broker. I am a broker. I've had my own brokerages. I think I've had 4 brokerages. I don't want a brokerage to be the one telling me no, within reason. Now, I also need a brokerage because I'm also fly by the night. I've lost my broker's license once. I need somebody to keep me in line and keep me in the guardrails, keep me legal. But at the same time, I want them to work with me to find ways to do things. So that's the kind of support I'm looking for.
Okay, I like that answer, by the way.
Wow, this one is very, very important to me because I've been at 2 other brokerages, not a whole bunch, but in those first 2, distinctively, I felt like I was in a box. I was told no often. I was told when I mentioned to my broker that I wanted to run my own team one day, it was like, you can't run a team. And when he told me that, I still had that chip on my shoulder today. I said, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. But a brokerage that is going to enable me to seek out and do what I want to do within reason, right, and compliance. And also a brokerage that doesn't have a limited, that doesn't create a limited mindset or local mindset, so to speak. Like, I feel like, why can't we go further and farther? Why can't we build here? And why can't we go and try these different things? I don't want to be in a brokerage that is going to have too many limitations.
Got it. How about you, Val?
I think the first thing I look for is a brokerage that's agent-centric. I don't mind that there's a broker that makes money at the end of the day. That's what we're all in this business for. But I like an agent-centric brokerage that wins when I win and wins when my team wins. I've worked for some amazing brokerages. I would have nothing negative to speak of any of them. They're just different. And so for me and for Gail and for Jay, we operate as a team, and we needed something that was very agent-centric and affordable, not just for us, but affordable for our team. So I look for that first and foremost. The brokerage has to have very high integrity. I don't want to work for a brokerage that has a bad name or has a physical broker that has a bad reputation. So those are the 2 most important things for me. Other than that, we have to be able to have a little autonomy. We need to be able to have our brand inside of the brand. And so that's difficult to do if you work for an independent brokerage, that the broker's name is the brand, or even RE/MAX. We were at RE/MAX, which was great. Nothing to say about the RE/MAX name or even Keller Williams, but it was hard for our name to become prominent over that name. And so for us, we needed that option.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, a brokerage that allows you to run with your brand and not their brand. So a brokerage that is focused on the agent's best interests and not the brokerage's best interests. I've had nothing but great experiences with my previous 2 brokerages, but I felt limited. And so I decided, I was like, oh, I'm going to go get my broker's license. So I did, because I was going to start my own brokerage.
Yeah.
And then after a few years, I realized I don't really want that kind of liability. And I want the accountability myself, keep me in check, just like Barry. But I love our current brokerage because we can work as a team. It's a team environment that I yearn for, because I do better when I'm with people, with other people, successful, productive people, and a brokerage that allows you to hand select who you choose to spend your time with, and not just in a big center with where they'll take anybody.
Yeah.
We're picky, and we can be picky. So I like that we can choose who we work with.
Interesting. That's an interesting answer. Love it. All right, so we're getting down to the end. When meeting with a client, what makes you different from other agents? I think we kind of touched on that, so let's scratch that. What 3 real estate tools could you not live without?
Well, I'm addicted to my hot sheets. Does everybody use hot sheets on MLS?
Raise your hand if you use hot sheets. Not everybody, but there are some people.
Okay, so
There's some addicts out there.
I didn't know what a hot sheet was until my 3rd year in real estate. And actually, Andy Wagner, we weren't even in the same brokerage. She's like, didn't you check your morning hot sheet? I'm like, what's a hot sheet? So we cover way too big of an area to know exactly what's happening. Like if you just check MLS every day, it's like, there could be 100 properties and status changes and new things. And so hot sheets, you categorize them, to your cities. And so I check them one by one, because once you check them, they disappear. But, I'm constantly hunting and searching for people. And so I love my hot sheets. It's like my thing in the morning, and I don't want any interruptions.
It's like your cup of coffee and hot sheets.
Hot sheets. So hot
There we
sheets
go.
daily. It's not really a real estate tool, but Canva. I use
Okay.
Canva every day.
Yeah, I'm a Canva addict as well.
Oh, I love it. And I'm learning, and I'm teaching other people how to use it. And I mean, the content that you can create is better than I've ever seen any other brokerage put together for you. It's just so much. It's beautiful.
And so you pay, what is it, $15 a month? Do you pay for the Pro?
I think I pay $100 for Pro a year, or
A year.
$150, and we can share our templates. And I just saw the most beautiful luxury listing brochure, which I'm totally copycatting off Val from Bordeaux.
R&D.
And they're like, sure, here's the template. And I'm like, yes, I cannot wait to use it on my next listing.
So that's 2. What's your third one?
Hot Sheets, my CRM.
Okay. Which
Yeah.
CRM do you use?
KV Core.
KV Core. All
Yeah,
right,
and
there
that
you go.
keeps me, that's one of the ways I keep in contact with people on a regular basis. So
Love
they don't
it.
forget me.
Awesome. Thank you. Val, how about you?
I'm going to give you a couple off-the-wall answers. But first, I'll give you one that's an actual real estate software. It's Cloud Streams. So Cloud Streams is the same as your Cloud CMA. If anybody has seen Cloud CMA or uses it from your MLS, Cloud Streams is a portal. What I like about it is that it acts almost like a social media type of platform for your client. So once you set up a stream, it not only sends it to them and they can like it with a heart, they can put a thumbs down, they can add a comment on it just like you would on a Facebook post instantly. But it also texts me real time per the MLS when a new listing hits in an active stream. So let's say I have 5 buyers. I don't need every listing in El Dorado County to come to my phone. I need specifics. If I set a 3-bedroom search or a search with a pool or something in a certain school district boundary. So I get a real-time text. Megan's over there managing my phone. I don't know. I probably have had a few of them that have come through specific to that person's search. So within seconds, I can open up a text message while I'm driving, because let's be truthful, we all do that. And I can grab that house and I can send it to my client from my website, from my cloud stream with my name on it, before I'm embarrassed that they saw it hit realtor.com before I knew that it was online. So Cloud Streams is an absolute must. Secondly, this Stanley Cup. We all need to drink more water, hence the whole health sacrifice. So if you do not have a Stanley Cup, Target is now selling them for $40, which is a lot less than I paid for this one. Third is my Bible app. I'll be totally honest. I don't function as a human, let alone a real estate agent, without my Bible app. And you can always find something relative to a deal you're in or a client you're serving. And I, time and time again, will grab a quick devotional or something and send it to somebody in the morning. And last but not least, I know you said 3, but sorry.
Bonus.
My team. I don't function without my team. Like,
There we go.
some of them are here at this table right here, and some are not here today, but without my team, I am not successful.
Love it. Thank you. That was awesome. Give that a round of applause, please.
I'm going to start with Instagram, Facebook, and KV Core.
I thought you were going to say Snapchat or TikTok for a second there.
So I have a Snapchat and I have a TikTok, but I found that you have a more established community base on Facebook because you have, I have my mom and my dad and my whole family on my Facebook. Instagram is more of my social circle and some of my family and my friends, and most of the people that I meet, I will draw them to my Instagram page, so to speak, because that's just where we play. Right, that's where you can go there and see something every single day. I say to people is you got to think like you are a director in Hollywood, and that is your show, that is your sitcom, that is your series. What are you showing people? Is it binge worthy? Do they want to come back? Is it so good that they have to come back and see what you're going to do next? Like creating that suspense and that anticipation. So that's what I do with my Instagram and my Facebook. And literally I've turned those into real estate tools. And the CRM, KV Core, what I love most about KV Core are 2 specific things is, well, I mean, it's very simple as the automated searches, but the drip campaigns is you can customize the drip campaigns, and everybody that I meet, whether it be at an open house, whether it be at the grocery store, or whether it be at Starbucks, my goal is to get their name and their phone number. At least, if I can, I'll get an email. But with the drip campaigns and the customization of the drip campaigns, I will, if you actually go in and look at some of your campaigns, man, they have 12-month campaigns where they will reach out to that prospect twice a month. And I've looked at them and it brands it with your name and your information, and it looks like it's you. And it's really good, and I get people responding and asking me questions. I'm like, wow, this really works. You never forget about a prospect when you utilize the drip campaigns. And
Got to get them in there, though.
You got it.
Yeah.
I mean, the CRM is useless without you inputting information.
Yep.
So those are my 3.
Good stuff. Good stuff. How about you, Barry?
Well, I'm going to try to probably skip over some that's already been done because I think that those are good and they have to have them. So I definitely include all of those. It's going to be kind of weird. It might just be me, but I need 3 screens. So if you don't have multiple screens, I don't know what you're doing with your time, but you're killing yourself. So I have 3 screens and a 4th one on standby if I want to do display. So if you've been to my office, I have a standing desk. So those 2 things I really like. I would say that aside from those, I'm an Excel guy. So I can show you and predict almost anything with Excel. And so this goes back to being able to show your clients what you're doing, right? You need to be able to show things to them. And for me, Excel allows me to do that. There was one more thing, but I cannot remember what it was.
Well, while you're thinking, what you're saying about Excel is similar to what you were saying about cloud streams. Like you're showing.
Oh, I know what the 3rd thing was. Yeah, sorry. As of lately, it's been my virtual assistants. I've gone up and down in real estate from having a big staff to a little staff. And right now I am using virtual assistants and they are freaking killing it. And so if you want to learn more about that, I'd be glad to talk off panel, but man, that's working really good for me right now.
I second that with the virtual assistants. All right, so that's all we had for the scheduled questions. I have no idea what we're doing on time.
I have one more tool I want to share.
Please do, Val.
It's not one that I personally own because my amazing assistant owns it and comes everywhere with me with it. And it's a Remarkable.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a Remarkable tablet, invest a couple $100 in a Remarkable tablet. It will change your life. And if you have an assistant, if you're a busy agent in the room and you need to delegate, it's a wonderful tool for you to buy for your assistant.
What does it do? What makes it so remarkable?
So, Megan, can you share what you like about your Remarkable? She has it with her.
Hi. This is a Remarkable tablet. So I'm kind of old school and I have to handwrite everything down. I don't like typing it on my phone. I don't like bringing my laptop out everywhere. So I was one of those people that always had like the pages of a big binder notebook, and this replaces that. So I can handwrite in, and it's just, and this is in the little case, but you can kind of see how thin it is. But you can handwrite in whatever you want, and then you can send it to yourself via email, or you can convert it to text and send it to an email, and you can create folders just like you would on a computer. But I literally have a folder for everything.
Thank you.
All right, so we are in the Q&A session of today's panel. So if you've been holding on to a question, go ahead, shout it out.
Barry, can you talk a little more about virtual assistants, what they do, where you find them?
All right, real quick, I'll repeat it so we get it on the audio. Had a question about virtual assistants. Where do you find them? What do they do?
So they'll do anything that you can train them to do, period. There's not a thing that you can do that if you can write it down, they can't do it for you.
So what do
right?
yours do for you, Barry?
Say that again?
What do your VAs do for you?
So I really started using them this time when I launched out property management. So I have a virtual assistant that I hired as an executive assistant. He now takes all my incoming applications. He now does all of my credit screening. On the other side, I've got another one now that started doing all my marketing. He sets up all my appointments. Back to the first one, he's now doing the maintenance calls. Back to the second one, he's now doing all the videos. Hired a third one for social media. This conversation will be sliced into 60 different 2-minute sections. The marketing person will work with the social media person without any of my involvement at all, and they'll program it out for the next 60 days, and you'll see it out on all my social media that I don't even know the passwords to. By the way, Clarine and John, you're out there. What was your handle for your Instagram?
My username?
Yeah.
It's my name. It's Asher_J_Bell.
All right, Clarine, if you could get on that, take what he does, copy everything, and that's what I want it to look like, right? So start working on that.
Asher__Bell.
Yeah, and she will. When I get done with it, she'll do it. So if there's anything that you want done, you can have that done. Now, I use a company called Sphere Rocket. If I do, I need to make a couple of referrals out to that. So if you want a good
Go to
deal
Barry, you'll
on
get a
that,
discount.
give me a shout for the discount. But yeah, Sphere Rocket set me up. They'll teach you everything. They have conferences on it. They're EXP endorsed. They're at EXP's stage. This guy's really got it dialed in.
All right, good. Thank you. Good question. Who's got another question? Yeah.
Barry, you talked about using Excel to predict things. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I mentioned earlier I've got a 9th grade education, and so I'm smart, but I don't do math in my head the way a lot of people do. I've met really smart people. Rodney Rose, if you guys know him, the guy's always doing stuff in his head. I need to be able to put it on a spreadsheet. And by the way, you're all running small businesses. 25% of small businesses fell in the first 5 years. A lot of the reason is because they're not predictable and repeatable. Yeah. If you can't put what you're doing on a spreadsheet and predict it out for the next 5 years, you probably aren't doing something correctly. You definitely don't have a system that's predictable and repeatable. So when you've got a spreadsheet in place, now I use it a lot for investments, but predicting what they're going to do. But I also do it for my budget. I also do it, everything I do, I can predict out on a spreadsheet.
And you export stuff from the MLS and import it into there. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. The import is just like she uses hot sheets. My favorite hidden gem in MLS is that you can export the entire MLS. So I do something called a duplex index where I export all the duplexes out. I can see what their rents are, and I can see how much they sold for. So therefore, I know the exact cap rate every quarter of all the duplexes in town. And I can do that in probably a half an hour now. So things like that, Excel is a great tool.
Good stuff. Another question. In the back with the green jacket. Give me time. Wait, let me get there.
This is kind of for all you guys. How did you and when did you know that it was time to build a team? When did you go from single agent to building your team, expanding?
So for me, it was in 2017. So I'd been licensed since 2012, so 5 years later. And it was entirely by accident how Gail and I forged a team. We were both working at Sotheby's at the time, and Sotheby's started to grow. It was Nick Sadek's office, and he started to grow exponentially. And so we had a ton of agents that were joining the brokerage, and we were now competing with each other in market share. So Gail DeMarco and I were competing on a listing together. And we were like, well, that's stupid. So let's just do it together. So for us, once we realized it was time to really join forces and partner first, we were partners before we had a team, was when we realized that we could capitalize on more market share together instead of competing with each other. That was the key indication for us. When we realized we needed to build a team was when we realized that we wanted to have a life. So we had built a brand and a business that was 24/7. I mean, this was when the market was phenomenal, and we had 12 listing appointments a week and 5 new buyers coming in from the website, and I couldn't even keep gas in my car. I mean, we were just spinning our wheels, and we wanted a little freedom. And so for us, we decided to hire just one agent, and that agent was Ryan Grove. He was with Keller Williams. He's not with our team any longer. He has successfully graduated into an amazing, amazing agent, but he was our first agent who helped cover everything. He helped hold our hands. He helped show our buyers. I got pregnant in 2019, and he took over and took the reins, so my partner didn't suffer while I was on maternity leave, and actually took some time with my family. So at the point long-winded answer, at the point when you realize that you should start a team is when you realize that you can do more with a team than you could do on your own.
What else you got?
Awesome. Thank you. This one's for Azure. What did you do to grow your systems online? You know, I'm kind of in my social media, and I'm like in that space where I'm hitting my plateau, and recently they changed the algorithms, and nobody's seeing my stuff anymore. I went from hundreds of likes to no likes. Right. So what did you do to really establish your brand online on your Instagram specifically and grow that account so large?
Well, you have to do research. One of the things, and it's so frustrating when they change the algorithms, because you get in a rhythm, you get in a flow of doing a specific thing, it's working for you, and then, hey, there's an algorithm change. One of the things that I do personally, and this is the easiest way to stay in tune with the times, is follow some social media coaches. If you just Google social media marketing or social media coach, they literally are always dropping tips and tricks of how to adapt to the latest algorithm changes. So follow social media coaches online. If you just search it in your search column, that will help you out a lot. And you have to just consistently produce content, whether it gets likes or not. You got to understand that now with the new algorithm, they don't simply just base it off of chronological order of how you're posting. They go back and your content will be resurfaced based on the amount of engagement. They'll go back all the way down your timeline for posts that did get good engagement, and those will start to appear on the Explore page. So you no longer have to focus on, okay, I'm going to post here, there. If you post consistently, Instagram will pick up older posts and newer posts, but you have to be consistent online. That's the name of the game, because you never know which post is going to get, 10,000 views or 1,000 views. And also, don't just get caught up in the views and the likes, because when you meet people out, when you're networking, and you posted a great video on your current market, you posted a great video about, a strategy with the 2-1 buy down that your lender shared with you, that post might have been for that person. And that might have intrigued them enough to send you a DM and say, hey, I'm looking to buy my first house. Because I get those all the time. There'll be videos that people will comment on or send me a message on, or comment on a specific video and say, hey, can you tell me more about this? And the video had, 5 views. It didn't have much engagement at all, but it was for somebody. So don't get caught up in the likes, because that content is valuable when you focus on value-added content.
Asher, can you give us one good real estate coach to follow?
1 second.
Hold, please.
What was that? Recommend yourself. You know what? All right. Who in here has a cell phone?
I just followed you.
Everybody? Who in here has an Instagram account?
Yeah, I got a couple
A lot of you. Okay, everybody open up your Instagrams.
Awesome, thank you. Maybe you could ask
You're going to type in the search column, Asher, Asher,
because they're talking a lot about
underscore
using,
J,
but they haven't really covered what.
underscore Bell. And if you don't know how to spell Bell, it's Bell. That was a joke. Guys,
Cool.
got it?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, I got some questions from the audience. One of them was, you've all been talking about systems. Like, can you go a little bit deeper on what systems you're using? What do those look like? I think you mentioned systems. Emily, you want to go first?
Go first. I just started using Jotforms.
Boom.
It's a free website. You can create questionnaires, which are now like the most important thing that I do before listings. And I actually just created my new Jotform for buyers. It's a great way.
J-O-T.
Jotforms. It puts you so far ahead of the game because the questions, and I'm actually happy to share mine, which is very similar to Val's. I'm a great copycat. But I will walk into a listing appointment now and know exactly what they think their home is worth, which just puts me, so far ahead of, their expectations.
So to explain it a little bit more, my understanding is it's like when you go to the doctor's office, the chiropractor, the dentist, and they have you fill out the form.
Yeah.
We're all programmed to do that, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
It's doing
so you
that,
can
but,
create
yeah.
your own specific questions. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes probably, depending on how detailed they are, but I've had people do even one-word answers. I think she probably did it on her cell phone in 5 minutes.
It's a
But
high D.
it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So it's very user-friendly, very easy to have somebody do, on their mobile before you show up. So that's one.
That's
one
huge.
thing.
That's good. How about you, Val?
So I have a couple of things in mind. To trail on to the reason why that is so important is you have no idea who you're about to be in the room with for 45 minutes to an hour. By a show of hands, how many of you are nervous about the price conversation when you're on a listing appointment? Honesty. I mean, we all get nervous. Yeah. So I use something that Gil has instilled in our team, and it's a summary sheet. And some of those on our team, and even Trent and Andy, you may have seen it. It's a single-page summary sheet. We made it in Excel and then exported it into an editable PDF. Again, you're welcome to reach out to me at any point in time, and I can email you a copy of that. And what it is literally a summary of what the CMA says, of what your assessment might have been by looking at it on Google Earth or what have you. You've now hopefully received your Jotform back, so you have a little psychology intel of, is this a divorce sale? Do you have a wife that's more motivated than the husband? Gives you a little background on the client. And then at the very bottom, I have a range. I don't walk into a listing appointment with a price, ever. I walk into there with a range. And that way I'm safe. So if I end up realizing that it's the wife that wants to sell but not the husband, or they think it's worth $1 million and it's worth $799, sometimes my range is, realistically, you can't always argue with data. Sometimes it's $75,000. Sometimes on a larger listing, it's a $300,000 range or a $400,000 range on a multi-million-dollar house, because you have no idea what did they update until you get there. So that's a huge tool that we have used and found success with. Super, super simple. Takes you, again, 30 minutes to construct it, save it, and use it time and time again.
What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you to get that tool?
You can email me, Val, V-A-L, @turnerdemarco.com.
There you go. And then, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. More systems. You got any systems?
Not really a system. It's basically what Barry is doing. It's just not a virtual assistant. I'm kind of, because she doesn't work in my house. So I guess she's virtual. But having an assistant, because like I said, my TC, she plays the role of an assistant as well. And she helps streamline everything that I do, from breaking down the entire process with a buyer, breaking down the entire process with a seller, picking up the phone, calling the seller, answering questions about how to fill out disclosures, because that's probably, one of the most tedious tasks, when taking listing for me, from my experience, is just having someone there to fill in the gap. So structurally, she's there to assist me with everything that can be delegated. And when it comes to the initial conversations, the tough conversations, price conversations, listing appointments, those are all things that I have to be great at. Mm-hmm. But everything else that I can delegate, I delegate. So I guess that's my system, is delegation.
How did that start? Did you like write down here's the entire process of how I operate, and then did you start delegating it piece by piece, or did the assistant just start chipping away at it?
Well, in the beginning, I started out. I'm a systems type of guy as well, just like Val. But I kind of just fell into this because I had a certain way that I like to do things. I like to be very thorough with the process. I like to break it down and make sure they understand it, asking, do you understand? So when I would come into any buyer or a seller, I'm breaking down the entire process and making sure that they know they can reach out to me with those questions. I just took that portion of the business and said, hey, Sarah, that's my name. Don't go look for her. That's my TC. Stay away.
What's her Instagram? What's Sarah's Instagram?
I was like, here's the way, like just what Barry said. I taught her how to do what I was doing. And it alleviated me of so many tasks that I could spend more time focusing on building the business and then, doing those things. So I just kind of fell into it, to be honest.
Good, but hey, you did it. How about you, Barry?
I'm reminded of the phrase that says you either have an assistant or you are the assistant. Even in this room, I was talking to somebody before the meeting that has this project that he's working on. That's crazy. His project could be sent to an assistant, and he could get back and sell some houses, right? So you have to remember, what is your role in your organization? If your role is sales, I would submit that even keeping up on the latest algorithm in Instagram is not what your job is. Your job is sales. Your job is being a Valerie, keeping the network going. You can hire someone to do the other stuff. And that cost has gotten lower and lower as we bring in, the virtual remote assistants. I mean, I'm with you. Everybody's a remote assistant now. Nobody's coming to my office, so they're probably a remote assistant. So I think that those systems are really important. A checklist, as simple as it is. As one of the advantages of having an assistant is I have to tell someone how to do something. Well, while I'm telling them how to do something, I'll probably see, wait a second, this would be better if it was done over here versus over here. And boom, I've just improved my efficiency. So again, they say if you can make a 2% increase every week, you're really changing your world. So anyway, that would be the act of telling someone how to do it. Even if you tell yourself in the mirror, even if you write it down and you're the only one that looks at it, the act of writing it down. Who was it that said, I know you have the Mike Tyson, the plan goes out the window first time you get punched in the face. And one of the generals, I think it was Eisenhower, that said, planning in and of itself is worthless once the first shot is fired, but the act of planning is invaluable.
100%. I know we've gone deep on systems. Chris, what do you got?
So I've got 2 VAs, but I just hired a new assistant. His name is Al, which is A-I, because that I looks like an L. How many of you are employing artificial intelligence in your daily routines? And how are you doing it?
So the question is, for the audio, for the television, how many of you are using AI in your business? And if you are, go ahead, share.
I'm new to it, but ChatGPT has saved my life. It's kind of creepy, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not one that's like supporting put people out of jobs, because I had a copywriter for years and I have a graphic designer, and they're invaluable to our organization. But when you're in a pinch and you need a property description, ChatGPT is incredible. So write that down. It's through Apple or Google. There's a free trial. There's literally nothing like it. Gabe, I think you've played around with it a little bit too. It's really powerful. So the way that I'm using it is for property descriptions. I'm also using it for YouTube scripts. I can go on to ChatGPT and I can say, give me a YouTube script for the top 10 places in El Dorado Hills. And I now have the top 10 talking points, an entire script on a screen if I wanted to go film a YouTube video. Because what do we do when it's time to film videos? We overthink everything and then we don't execute. So those are the 2 ways I've been using it. I plan to use it for a ton more things as I get more familiar.
Anybody else use chat? Go ahead, Asher.
So I've played with it. It's not something that I've implemented into my business, but I was just sharing with Barry, just on a sidebar, is that you can ask it anything. Like literally anything. Like, give me 10 topics to talk about on social media. That's one of the biggest things that I hear from people on my team is, I don't know what to talk about. Or I don't have good ideas. You can ask AI anything, and it will scribe it for you.
So I think that this is something I'm often struck with. I used to travel a lot with Brent to go to conferences and things like that. When Brent was on the way home from his conference, he would have his yellow pad out, and he would be writing down things that he was going to implement. By the end of this week, I've never even considered using Chat GPT. By the end of the week, I'll have one of my team working with that to see how we can utilize it, because I've got the app from him. How fast are you implementing things? When you hear something that these guys are doing up here, what I'm doing is taking notes in my head. You don't see a piece of paper, but that's because I've got a camera running, or I'm going to get the copy of this, but I'm going to implement some of this stuff. How fast are you going to implement? We'll be coming to a conference, another one of these meetings a month from now, and you still haven't done the things that you thought were good ideas here. How fast can you implement?
So everybody's like all excited about Chat GPT. I get it, it's free, but there's another one out there that I think it does cost a little bit of money. So the problem that I have with Chat GPT is that it's like learning an instrument, or like learning a language a little bit. In order to get exactly what you want out of it, you got to practice. It's not just soup. Like, you'll get kind of what you wanted, but it won't be perfect. So if you want something that's a little bit more out of the box, user friendly, it's Jasper AI. It does cost money, but it even has like a template where you click a button and it's like property description for real estate agents, instead of learning how to input what you want it to output. But that's Jasper AI. Another question we had is, you two have been speaking about open houses a lot, about how you do successful open houses and how those have been pivotal in your business. How do you set up, conduct, follow up for an open house?
Well, I don't host many of them anymore, if I'm being totally honest.
When you did.
When I did, or I can say what our team does now, which is probably far more valuable than anything that I ever used to do. Number one is we advertise it on social media. Number two, we ask other people to advertise it on their social media. Our guys and some of our girls now are circle calling. So they get a list of phone numbers from the title company for the neighborhood that the listing is in, and they call all the neighbors and they invite them to the open house. They door knock. This is not like archaic technology that doesn't work. Door knocking and actually having a real life conversation with another human being still works. And we get people that show up to our open houses that way, or they know that their aunt was looking for this neighborhood, or their sister, or their whatever. So those are a couple of the things that we do, but we also are really, really big on our signage. If you guys are using the traditional red and white open house signs that you buy across the hallway over there, you are disserving your client, and you are disserving your own business and your future business. The number one way that Gail and I took market share in El Dorado Hills was through our signage. We were very consistent in all of our signage, that our panel matched our open house signs, matched the open house ad that was posted on Facebook, so that way somebody was seeing the same thing 5 different times. There's a Will Smith movie out there called Focus, and that talks about that. Barry, I think your doppelganger is actually in that movie. But we use branded open house signs. I know that that's an expense, and maybe some of you don't want to take that on, but get your 4 or 6 street-facing panels that are going to be on the main traffic areas where people are going to drive by. Make those your brand. You're not thinking about driving just buyers to your open house now, guys. You're driving sellers. You're driving the other people that are going to sell in that neighborhood, and when they see your branded signs everywhere, you're going to be the go-to because they saw your signs everywhere for the last 6 months. So those are a couple of ways that we do it. Did that answer your question, John?
It does. And when you're reaching out, doing circle prospecting or door knocking, what does that conversation look like?
I wouldn't know because I don't have it, but please ask anybody at this table.
All right. Ask anybody at this table if you want to learn more about that. What about you, Emily?
Same thing, branded signage, very nice signage. I get the most visitors from Facebook. So I have joined every single chat page, neighborhood garage sale page, anything you can find out there. I'm probably a member of like 30 of them. And follow their rules. Don't be the annoying realtor. You know, if they say they allow you 1 picture, do 1 picture. You know, I've so far not been kicked out of any of the groups, but you are going to get a lot of like crazy comments from people, but I don't care because I get a ton of people that say, oh, I saw it on Facebook, so I brought the husband. Yeah. So that's the number one way that I get people in the door for
So do you do that, or do you have an assistant?
I do it.
There you go. It's doable. Barry?
I don't know if I need that, but if we're going to talk about open houses, I have to go back to Brent's page. Brent's Gove resource, brentgove.com, is that right? BrentGove.com. He has a resource on how to do open houses. He trained a lot of the people that are in the room. And then when you mix what he does with what they do, then I think you get a really big combination and very powerful. And it's on video. And again, all of your training should be on video. Loom is another tool that I use a lot. So anything that you've got a team for, you can teach all of this stuff. Put it on video. Here, Brent did videos years ago, and we're still learning off of those same videos.
Absolutely. All right, I think we're getting, you're good? Okay. What do you got, a question? Sure.
How often do you post on social media daily? This is for Asher. And are there certain times that you post?
That's a really, really good question. I post every day. There are some days where I do get super slammed and I might only post a story, but not limited to. But I post daily for one, because it's the subconscious factor. Like, I want my viewers, my audience, my followers to see me on a daily basis. It's the same thing as your signage and people driving by and then going back and seeing it online. So I do post every day. And then what was the second question? Oh, what times?
Yeah, like are there certain
Absolutely. So I've come to find that from around 5 to 7, or I would say 5 to 8, those hours is where I get the most engagement. If I'm posting video content and I'm looking for views, I want people to view my videos. When I post between 5 and 8, when most people are off of work, that's when I get the best response. I'm posting my stories typically in the morning on Facebook. I'll do more of an encouraging or inspirational post in the morning to help people get their day started. And this is, if you want to have a side conversation, but the value-added content I do in the morning, but where I want the most engagement and views, I'm doing that in the evenings for sure.
Tom, what do you got?
This question is for Val specifically. Branding. Do you have? I'm trying to renew my branding, so your symbol, your sign. Some people have their name with a cute little house or whatever. Do you have, or any of you, do you have a vendor that you would recommend to help you with that? Is that a Fiverr conversation? Is that as simple as Canva? How do you do that?
I would probably start with a Fiverr. We went through a graphic designer that we have staffed, but I love the creativity of Fiverr. I'm a Virgo. I like choices. So I would love to have 30 different choices that then I can pare down to my top 5 and then send my top 5 to my graphic designer and say, I like this from this one, I like this from this one, I like this from this one. Can you put it together for me? But I would definitely start with something as easy and inexpensive as Fiverr.
And then just have all posted on your email, your social media, website, everything.
Everywhere. I would put it on a t-shirt, Tom, and I would wear it all day.
I got a recommendation.
Yeah, go ahead, Asher.
So my brother has been in graphic and web design for over 10 years, running his own business. He does all of my marketing. We do custom marketing. I like to think that it looks really good. I'm also, fellow to Val, born in September, very picky on the way that things look. So I can get you his information, but he does everything for our team, all of our open house signs, for sale signs, flyers, postcards. He's really, really good.
Good stuff. In the back.
Asher, regarding your IG, do you post more reels, stories, posts? Which one do you do most of?
Number one for sure is Reels. Instagram is trying to compete and keep up with TikTok, and they're trying to move from being a photo sharing platform to a video sharing platform. So Reels is going to get you the most exposure, and that's what we want, is to grow your page, to grow your audience, and retain your audience. Reels number one, but stories are also essential because they encourage you to post, multiple stories in a day, because it kind of allows people to follow you throughout the day. And it also increases the engagement. The reel captures, stories help retain the engagement as well throughout the day.
All right. Elise?
Hi, one for Asher. When you first started social media and started doing videos and stuff, 2 questions actually. What were you doing to get comfortable being in front of the camera? And then second question is, how far ahead are you planning your content for days you're going to post?
Great questions. So in the beginning, I had a partner, buddy of mine. His name was Javier. We kind of both started real estate together. He had a camera, and I had a personality. So how does that translate to maybe someone who doesn't feel like that? Get a partner. Get somebody that you are super comfortable with, sister, brother, mother, best friend, co-worker. But you got to practice with somebody you're comfortable with first. And the biggest fear that people have, or that I've experienced when I'm teaching people how to build their social media, is I don't want to look stupid. You have to go out there and put yourself out there and, wholeheartedly believe that whether this person thinks I'm stupid, this person might love it. And it's also a progression. Is you're always gonna the way you start is not how you're gonna look once you're 2-3 years down the line. If you look at my YouTube page, for instance, my first videos were so choppy. I was stuttering. I, wasn't looking at the camera. I'm talking and I'm looking at the ceiling. It just things that you just look at and like, what was I doing? And then you look at my content now. It's, I'm looking directly at the camera. I'm projecting my voice. I'm using a microphone now, or a lapel mic. So getting with someone that you're comfortable with and literally practicing it like you're practicing a script. It's the same as any industry that you're trying to become acclimated to. Is you got to practice. And then planning my content. For me, content, I take it on as a job. So it's something that I do daily. So do I plan it? I guess I'm so deep into it, it's not necessarily on my calendar, but it's just something that I do. Like when I wake up, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I take a shower. I wake up in the morning and I do a post. I read my Bible app, which is the first application that I use every single morning. But after my Bible app, I'm posting a story, I'm posting something inspirational or motivational or encouraging online. So it's a part of my daily, it's part of my business plan. That's my main way of prospecting. You might be like Barry, where you go and you're on the MLS or your hot sheets. Me, it's social media. I wake up and that's what I'm doing from midday to about noon. Is I'm getting my content done, or I'm shooting my content for that evening. If I'm going to do a walkthrough of a new build, which is really hot right now because people love the new builds, I'm doing all my shooting during the day when they're open, of course, and then I'll go back and I'll do my editing, and then I'll hold that content for the evening because I know that's when everybody's at the movies.
Awesome. I think we have.
I have a question for Asher. You just said you go do your editing. Why do you not delegate that?
Ooh.
Good question. Okay. All right. So I should delegate that, but I kind of am a little bit of a control freak. Yes, and I like things done a certain way, and I know I have an eye and an ear for the way that I like things done. That's probably something that at this point in time, I'm not ready to delegate, right? Because I know it has to look the way that I want it to look, and then I want it done right away. I don't want to wait for my editor to get back to me in 2 hours or 3 hours when I know if I can sit down for 30 or 45 minutes, edit my video, and intricately go through every phase from audio to captions to colors to branding to logos to overlays. See, I'm going deep. You guys get with me. I'll show you how to do some social media.
Felt some emotion there, man. Yeah. CapCut.
Yeah,
That's
that's awesome, Asher. Hey, Asher, just out of curiosity, what do you think the best video editor makes a year?
I mean, probably 6 figures or more. Probably multiple 6 figures.
I'm pretty sure you could make multiple 6 figures as a real estate agent if you'd let go of this video editing job. And I think the right answer is about $100,000 for a good editor.
Oh, man. All right.
I just want to add one last thing to close on that. It doesn't have to be your face. Guys, if you're uncomfortable on videos, start with stuff that's not your face. I posted a video, my team probably saw it, not everybody in here follows me on Instagram, but I posted a quick little blurb of a bunch of televisions in the back of my minivan from Best Buy the other night because we're hauling it out to an Airbnb property, and I got 3 new clients from that one post about, hey, here's some fun little things that we're doing. So it doesn't have to be your face. If you're uncomfortable, start with other content that is not your face on the camera.
Yep. And we got time for one more, Mr. Scott Short.
This is for Asher and for Barry. Asher, can you give us a sample
Do you do that?
Do we have time for that?
No, we're hearing no. We're hearing no.
I don't think so. We're out of time.
One more serious question, then we'll
Go to my page, and
Yeah.
there's plenty of examples.
All right.
So for your social media, do you like do specific for Facebook and Instagram, or you just copy one from the other?
Copy and paste, brother. Everything that goes on my Instagram is going to go on my Facebook. I have a TikTok. I'm building a TikTok. I haven't received the same response that I received on Facebook and Instagram, which are my brick and mortars, from TikTok just yet. But I copy and paste, and also LinkedIn. I haven't really generated much business from LinkedIn, but all of the content is the same.
Asher, how do you keep it from dominating your life? When I get on social media, it feels like a deep hole, and I find like an hour's gone by, and I'm like, holy crap, I haven't listened to it. How do you respond to people and post
Yeah.
and all that stuff without being absorbed?
Haven't figured that out yet.
Honest. All right, guys, give these people a round of applause. This was good. Thank you so much for coming today, you four. You're incredible. All right, they'll be hanging out for a little bit if you want to ask some questions. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.